Okay, we're going to go over the tools for healthy eating slideshow. Okay, so we got several tools that are relatively easy to find. You've got your dietary reference intakes, our dietary guidelines, our My Pyramid, or My Plate. My Plate is essentially a newer version of My Pyramid. Uh, Both are sort of visually guided tools to figure out how to eat healthy, and then the nutrition facts label. So let's go over the few of those really quickly. Okay, so under our dietary reference intakes, we have the EAR, which is the estimated average requirement. So this is what your average person needs. Okay. The other one is your recommended daily allowance. It's recommended that your average person have this much. Another one is adequate intake, AI. Oh, excuse me, go back. Adequate intake. This is what you want your average person to have for their adequate amount to make sure they have enough of something. Some nutrients will have a tolerable upper intake level. So if there's a risk of toxicity, then this is when we would look at the upper intake level, the UL. We also have our estimated energy requirement. So that's your estimated calories for the day, and that's going to be very different for different people, and the appropriate macronutrient distribution range. Okay. So dietary guidelines for Americans. These are really simple. These are just general guidelines, not hard and fast numbers, right? So you want to get adequate nutrients within the calorie needs. This means basically having foods that are not that have something that comes with the calories, right? So you drink Kool-Aid, you just get calories. You don't get very many other nutrients. Like if you eat a piece of fruit, you get vitamins and minerals and fiber with that. So that's something that's more nutrient dense. So that helps you get your adequate nutrients within your calorie needs, right? To weight management, so stay within a healthy weight range, get physical activity, encourage whole grains, low-fat dairy, fruits and vegetables, avoid excess sugar, watch sodium intake and get enough potassium. We'll talk more about sodium and potassium when we get to minerals. Moderate alcohol, and then food safety techniques. For lots of these things, we've got a whole another section on those, right? So we're going to cover more of these in depth later, but just have a general idea what these guidelines are, and they are in your book, very easy to see. Okay, so understanding nutrition labels. Before we go to understanding nutrition labels, I want to talk a little bit about appropriate macronutrient distribution ranges. So appropriate macronutrient distribution ranges, those are the proper ranges for your calorie containing nutrients, so your carbohydrate, proteins, and fats. So make sure you know what your appropriate macronutrient distribution ranges are for fat, protein, and carbohydrates, right? Those are your three things that give you energy, right? And we'll talk more about those when we cover specifically calories and energy and carbohydrates and proteins and fats. But this is in your book, so I'm just going to let you read about it yourself, but understand that the AMDR is very important. Okay, so understanding nutrition labels. I want to talk a little bit about nutrition labels, okay? So all nutrition labels have the same basic information on them, all right? What they're going to have is the serving size is 1 cup, right? So that serving size is 1 cup for this food. This is macaroni and cheese, all right? So we have serving size of 1 cup for this container of food. So how many servings do we have per container? We have 2 servings per container. So that means if you eat this whole container, you're actually going to get 2 cups, right? Because you have serving size of 1 cup and a serving of 2 per container. So if I ask you, how many servings do you get if you eat the whole container? You should say 2. If I say how many cups do you get if you eat the whole container? You should say 2 cups, right? 2 per container, 1 cup each, okay? The other thing we want to look at is how many calories are in here, right? Very near the top, 250 calories, right? So again, this is for 1 cup, right? There are 2 servings per container. So if you eat 2 cups, you're going to get 2 servings. You're going to get 500 calories. You're going to get 500 calories, right? If you eat 2 servings. If you only eat 1 cup, you're going to get 250 calories. If you eat 2 cups, the whole container, you're going to get 500 calories. How many of the calories come from fat? 110 of these. 110 of the calories come from fat. Okay, we've got some other stuff here. We've got our total fat, cholesterol, and sodium. So these are generally these are generally nutrients that you want to limit. You don't want too much of these, right? And we'll talk more as we move along about fat and cholesterol and sodium and total and carbohydrate and protein, all these different things when we get to those specific chapters. But for nutrition labels, right, understand that this has 12 grams of fat per serving. So that's if you have 1 cup, because the serving size is 1 cup. If you have the whole container, you have 2 servings, you have 24 grams of fat, right? And then 3 grams of saturated fat and 3 grams of trans fat. One thing that's important to understand here is that these saturated fat and trans fat are part of the total fat, right? These don't add together. These 3 don't all add together, right? See how you've got the indentation here from total fat to saturated fat and trans fat, right? Total fat's over on this line, saturated and trans fat are over here on this line. That means that these 2 are part of this, right? So we've got saturated fat and trans fat, 3 grams each. Over here, we've got a daily value, a percent daily value. So this is saying how much of your recommended value of total fat per day, right? That doesn't mean that this product contains 18% fat. That's not what that means. It does not mean that this product contains 18% fat. What it means is that this product contains 18% of the recommended fat for your daily diet if you have 1 serving, if you have 1 cup. It provides 18% of the fat that you need in 1 day. All right. It provides 15% of the saturated fat that you're usually recommended to have in 1 day. Okay. Same goes for cholesterol. Same goes for sodium. So this provides 20% of the sodium that a person should have in 1 day. Okay. Something very important about these numbers is that this is all based on a 2,000 calorie diet. If you look down here, these values are all based on a 2,000 calorie diet. So if you're based on a 2,000 calorie diet, then this is going to be very appropriate for you, right? But let's take me personally. There are days where I might be on a 4,000 calorie diet, right? I might be on a 4,000 calorie diet if I exercise a lot in 1 day. All right, so that means that it's not near 18% of the recommended fat for me. It's only maybe 9% of the recommended fat for me because that day my diet is 4,000 calories, not 2,000. So important to understand about the daily value line, right? That this is 18 or 15 or 10 or 20% of the recommended amount for the nutrient for the day, right? And that it's all based on a 2,000 calorie diet. If your diet is less than 2,000 calories, then these numbers are a little high. If it is more than 2,000 calories in a day, then these numbers are a little low, okay? So look on down, we've got total carbohydrate, 31 grams, right? 10% of the recommended carbohydrates for the day for somebody on a 2,000 calorie diet. We've also got dietary fiber. Okay, this product has no fiber. These are nutrients we want to make sure that we get enough of. And then it has 4% of our vitamin A, vitamin C, calcium, and iron. And we have chapters on vitamins and minerals, so we'll talk more about those later. Right now, we're just trying to generally understand the nutrition labels, and this will help us when we get to vitamins and minerals and carbohydrates and things like that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and make a new video to give you more examples of nutrition labels.